So guys, welcome back to the channel, and I want to talk to you a little bit about the Bible. So if you see the title, it makes perfect sense, especially if you read Genesis. Relationships between men and women, to be honest, have been terrible since the dawn of time. And after the first sin was committed, I don't know if you guys read the King James Version, but I'm reading both that and the NLT version. And it basically explains what the consequences is for women and for men. It's a reason why men have to work so hard, and you can't live by bread alone. It's a reason why a lot of women look at a man as a provider, where they have to have a certain amount of money, or well, no, it's been misconstrued now. People want more than what they're actually supposed to have out of just pure ignorance, and it's not necessity. It's just they think they need it. It's entitlement at this point in 2025, but it wasn't always like that, especially back in the day. So let me kind of break down Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 2. Chapter 1, in a nutshell, is the creation of the world. It explains how God did A, B, C, D, created the earth, etc., etc. While chapter 2 talks about man. It talks about Adam, naming the animals, things like that. And God decided to give him Eve because he didn't have someone for himself. All the animals did, but he didn't. Now, what's interesting about this is that they were told not to eat from the tree of life. People love doing things for whatever reason that they're not supposed to do. I fall guilty of that. We all fall guilty of that. We're supposed to strive to be better people, to do the right thing. We're never going to be perfect, but we're supposed to live in a way where we live by the word. And by living by the word, you breathe the word. I understand what that means now. A lot of people when you first initially hear that, you may think, oh my gosh, the Bible, you have to live 24 hours of the Bible. Yeah, but the difference is you can still enjoy life. You can still play your video game. You can still listen to music. Not all music, like, crazy secular music. You're not going to want to listen to it as you change because you feel something in your soul. As I listen to certain songs, whether it's rap music, whatever, I had to let a lot of that go, primarily because the message that they were conveying was something that I didn't live in that message even before Christianity, before I found my faith again. So I definitely can't live in it now. That's just me. I've in my soul, I know that I don't need to listen to Tory Lanez talk about fucking bitches, excuse my language, but I don't need to hear that type of stuff anymore. You know what I mean? It's enough bad happening in the world as it is, whether it's news and all that, and I can't allow that to consume me. A lot of times we allow everyone else's worldview to consume us, and that's why it shapes us the way we are, and we're always wanting for something when the reality is you should have the Lord close to you. But anyway, what chapter 2 does, and I found it interesting how Adam blames his wife for eating from the tree of life, and then she blames the serpent. And the moral of the story is y'all disobeyed God. And the consequence of disobeying God was women have to have childbirth. Women will never be in front of the household. If you notice the reason why there's so many single mothers nowadays and so many strong women or whatever they want to call themselves, the reason they have these terminologies, feminism and phrases and stuff like that is because they derived away from what the faith used to be. Now, some people would say, listen, it was that point in time where men went to war and women had to go to work. That's understandable. But what's happening now is that these women want the benefit of a man to take care of them completely without them putting up any effort in their relationships whatsoever. And vice versa, a lot of men feel as if because they have money, they're allowed to cheat or do whatever they want or step out in their relationships. They're allowed to have multiple women because they're big and bad and have 6 figures or 7 figures. That gives them the okay to just be promiscuous. And that's not the case. I don't know who created that outlook, but it's a completely wrong outlook. Regardless of what you make, that doesn't give you the okay to step outside of your relationship or treat people a certain way. You should always treat people with respect. You should always give back. Giving back doesn't mean just giving all your riches, but it does mean allowing the next person to be able to, just pay it forward, help someone else that's in need. And then that person helps someone else. If we had this mind state, that would work. But anyway, I'm getting beside myself. So for women, they want to be a part of the household. Like, we see these women saying they're the son, they're the father, they had to play the father and the mother, and they're the one that is my child and all this. That level of arrogance and anger that they have where they feel like the child is their property, they want to be in control of everything. That's their sin, arrogance and pride, like that's their sin. Where every time you meet a woman, it's very rare to meet a God-fearing woman nowadays, and those type of women are ridiculed. You're not going to see them in the news. You're not going to see them yelling and screaming to the top of their lungs about being single and how much a man should make because they're modest women. And they're called pick-me's at this point. And it's a shame that a decent woman that wants a decent relationship and a loving husband is considered less than nowadays versus the promiscuous woman that's on OnlyFans and selling her body online is looked upon as a champion of everything. And that's not female empowerment. That's just prostitution. People should really learn the difference. Now, when it comes to men, their curse was that they have to work until the end of days. And I know for some people will say, all right, well, that's not worse than childbirth. It actually is, because men don't have programs that help men, if we're being completely honest here. Even in 2025, throughout all the centuries and years and stuff, you've never heard of real programs that help men. Either you work or you die. You know, when it talks about the sand needing to be fertilized, not the sand, what is it called? The soil needing to be fertilized. Men have to do that. They have to work. They have to provide for their families. They have to provide everything. And even in today's society where women are working and women make as much money as men, depending on the jobs and stuff, and there's sports, entertainment, and there's so many different things, men still built up most of the structures, not probably 99.99% of the structures that currently exist. It's not that women didn't do anything, but it's a man's place to create. And it's a woman's place to receive that creation, if we're being completely honest here. That's just my personal opinion. Women do have the ability to obviously support men or even create things on their own. It's not that they don't, but that's not what defines them. A woman is not meant to be hardened like a man. A man is supposed to be stern with his children, not abusive, obviously, but stern with his children and lead a household where the woman can follow. And then that's where her work comes in. So that they work together, that's like the perfect harmony. But there's no unity anymore in these relationships. And I just found it interesting that the Bible talked about this early in the beginning. So if you read the NLT version, right, because I'm actually listening to it on a Bible app. I'll try to leave the app in the description for this video. For anyone that's interested, it is on Android, so I'll see if I can copy the URL. But yeah, if you read it, it basically explains why men and women are at odds. And it's so interesting that all it took was for me to give 10 minutes of my life, right, to the Bible, just to read or just listen to an audiobook. And I was able to pick that up immediately. And that's what prompted me to do this video. We need God in our lives, to be honest with you, because it's structure. When you have God in your life, it's not just, oh, I believe in the man in the sky, what so many people think. It's, I don't have to worry about certain things. By putting my faith and my worries onto the Lord, which is asking to carry our burdens, I don't have to worry about what happened next week. I need to get through today. I need to worry about what's going on now. You live in the now. You have more energy. You have more time. You're not concerned about what's happening the following day. If your car breaks down, okay, I just got to find another solution to get to work. It is what it is. It's like when we pile up too much stress because of sin, we end up turning into a former shell of what we're supposed to be. And we a lot of times, and you could be a Christian too, and you could be in your faith, and we all fall guilty of this. Sometimes we take on, well, not sometimes, but all the time, we take on more responsibilities than what the Lord actually wants us to do. Whether it's arrogance, whether you're trying to help someone, they end up, looking toward you for help more than anything else. And then you look like you're trying to play God, and that's not your responsibility. Stick to the lane that you're supposed to do, and life will be a whole lot easier. When I started doing that, I don't stress at work. When people have conversations with me at work and they feel some type of way because I mentioned something that they may or may not be doing just to bring up to their attention, they're ready to fight other people. You're spreading rumors. No. It's simply make sure that you protect yourself and your own peace. I'm letting you know just in case this is happening. It's been rectified. It's been taken care of. Some people don't have the foresight of asking those questions to make sure that they're okay. The first thing they choose is anger, and that's women. They're very, very angry people. Not all of them, but a lot of men are angry too, things like that. But I just wanted to show the differences where, as you read the Bible, it just explains everything from the relationship dynamics to why people react the way that they do, to why they choose not to believe even though it's in front of their face. And that was at the time where miracles were actually happening in front of them, versus today where we have today's miracle. It's all the technology that we have. This is the problem when, you live in a household or you grow up through generations and people push away from God. You forget what made this world in the first place. So when you go back to simplicity, it's like too good to be true. And the fact is, it's not too good to be true. It actually makes life easier, and it puts in perspective, I'm not chasing money. I'm not chasing this trend. I'm not chasing that. I'm not chasing this cell phone. I don't need this newest thing. I'll get it when the time comes, when God allows it, or when I get my finances in order. I know what I need to work on. And if I purposely choose not to do that and use everything else as an excuse, that's just me being a weak man. And this world doesn't need weak men, but we all make mistakes. Anyway, like and subscribe like always, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Till then, Take care. Peace and God bless.